What I am about to tell you about Stoic philosophy and death took scholars 2,000 years and entire lifetimes of study to fully uncover. You are getting it in the next 10 minutes. Here is the truth. The Stoics practiced dying every single day, not morbidly, not as some dark ritual, strategically, deliberately. And it made them the most fearless, most grounded, most mentally unshakable human beings in recorded history. Marcus Aurelius ran the most powerful empire on earth while facing plague, war, betrayal, and the deaths of his own children. Epictetus was a literal slave, beaten, broken, and owned by another man. Yet both of them, described a kind of inner peace so complete that nothing could touch it. Not loss, not humiliation, not even death itself. So the question you need to ask yourself right now is, what did they know that you do not? Stay with me, because the answer is going to change the way you move through every single day. Here is what most people believe about Stoicism and death. They think the Stoics were cold, detached, that they simply decided not to care about dying and moved on. The popular image is the stone-faced philosopher who shrugs at funerals and tells grieving people to toughen up. You have probably seen this framing online. Stoicism as emotional suppression. Stoicism as just telling yourself nothing matters. And the logical extension of that myth is this. The Stoics were not afraid of death because they had somehow switched off the part of themselves that cared about being alive. They had gone numb. They had disconnected. And that, the myth goes, is how you achieve fearlessness. You stop caring. You detach completely. You become essentially less human. That is the story. And if that were true, Stoicism would be useless to you. Who wants to feel nothing? Who wants to walk through life like a ghost? Nobody watching this wants to become emotionally dead. You want to feel fully alive. You want peace without numbness, strength without coldness. And here is the thing. That is exactly what the Stoics actually taught. But almost nobody tells you that. So why does this myth survive? Why does everyone assume Stoicism is about feeling less? 3 reasons. First, the word itself. Stoic in modern English literally means showing no emotion. It is in the dictionary that way. The word has been hijacked from its original meaning for centuries. So when you say you are being stoic, people picture a blank face, clenched jaw, silent suffering. Second, the excerpts people share online are almost always the hardest-edged ones. The quotes about enduring pain, the ones about indifference to loss. Nobody shares the passages where Marcus Aurelius writes with breathtaking tenderness about human connection, about love for his people, about the grief he felt and acknowledged openly. The algorithm rewards the tough guy version, not the complete one. Third, and this is the most important reason, facing death directly is terrifying. And when something is terrifying, the mind wants a shortcut. The shortcut is to believe that the answer is to simply care less. To feel less. Because actually sitting with mortality, actually looking it in the eye the way the Stoics prescribed, that is uncomfortable. And most people will do almost anything to avoid discomfort, even if avoiding it is exactly what is keeping them anxious and overwhelmed. But here is where the myth starts to fall apart. If Stoics were just emotionally numb, just switched off, just indifferent, then why did Marcus Aurelius write Meditations at all? Think about this. He was the most powerful man alive in 170 AD. He had no reason to write anything. Nobody was watching. It was a private journal, never meant to be published. And yet, page after page after page, he is wrestling. He is struggling. He is reminding himself repeatedly to be better, to think clearly, to not be consumed by fear or anger or grief. You do not write 250 pages of private reminders to yourself if you feel nothing. You write them because you feel everything, and you are fighting every single day to remain grounded in that feeling. Here is the crack in the myth. The Stoics were not fearless because they stopped caring about death. They were fearless because they had a specific, practiced, daily method for looking at death without flinching. It was not numbness. It was training. And there is an enormous difference between the two. One leaves you hollow, the other makes you unbreakable. The practice is called memento mori. Remember that you will die, and before you dismiss that as grim, understand what the Stoics actually did with it. Seneca, writing around 65 AD, described sitting every evening and reviewing the day as if it were the last. Not in despair, in clarity. He wrote in letters to Lucilius, letter 1 specifically, that we should reclaim our time because, and I am quoting him directly here, while we are postponing, life speeds by. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius would mentally rehearse loss. He would picture the people he loved. He would acknowledge calmly that they were mortal, that he was mortal, that the empire was mortal. And then he would get up and govern with total presence and zero panic. Epictetus taught his students to hold everything they valued with what he called an open hand. Not gripping, not clinging, aware that it could be gone. Because the moment you genuinely accept that something can be lost, you stop living in chronic low-level terror of losing it. The fear does not disappear, it transforms. It becomes appreciation, presence, gratitude so sharp it cuts. That is the evidence, not numbness. Daily, disciplined, specific contemplation of death used as a tool to generate. So here is the real explanation for Stoic fearlessness. And this is the part that will actually change something for you if you let it land. The reason modern life feels so overwhelming, the constant anxiety, the low-grade dread, the sense that everything is fragile and could collapse, is not because bad things are likely to happen. It is because you are spending enormous mental energy trying not to think about the fact that they could. You are running from the thought, every day. And running takes everything you have. The Stoics discovered something neuroscience is now confirming, that avoidance does not reduce fear. It amplifies it. Every time you refuse to think about something terrifying, you signal to your brain that it is too dangerous to process. And your brain stores it as an unresolved threat, forever circling, forever draining you. The Stoic practice of memento mori did the opposite. It walked directly toward the thing. It sat with the worst case. It examined it fully in a safe, structured, intentional moment each day. And once the brain has processed a threat completely, once you have genuinely looked at it and survived the looking, it stops being a threat. The fear releases. Not because you stopped caring, because you finally cared enough to face it. So what does this actually mean for your life right now? It means that the peace you are looking for, the unshakable calm, the ability to handle whatever comes at you without falling apart, it is not on the other side of avoiding hard thoughts. It is on the other side of facing them with a method. The Stoics gave you that method 2,000 years ago, and it costs nothing. No therapy session, no retreat, no subscription. Just a few minutes each morning with an honest question. If this were my last day, would I be living it with intention? Not to be morbid. To be awake. And here is something worth knowing. If you want to go deeper into exactly how Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus built this practice, the specific language they used, the exact mental exercises they prescribed, there is no better companion than the source material itself. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and A Guide to the Good Life by William Irvine are both available on Audible right now. You can start listening today on your commute, your walk, your morning routine. The link is in the description. I genuinely recommend both. Not because of the affiliate relationship, because they change the way I think about every single day. Meditations especially. There is a reason it has survived 2,000 years. It was written for exactly the kind of pressure you are feeling right now. Here is your one action step. Just one. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you open your email, before the noise starts, take 90 seconds. Sit somewhere quiet. And ask yourself this exact question. What would I do differently today if I knew it was one of my last? Do not spiral. Do not catastrophize. Just notice what comes up. Notice what you have been putting off. Notice who you have not told that you love them. Notice where you have been sleepwalking. That 90-second question, practiced consistently, is the beginning of what Marcus Aurelius built his entire inner life on. It is not about fear, it is about clarity. And clarity is the most powerful thing you can bring to a chaotic world. You cannot control the chaos outside. You have never been able to, but you can control the quality of attention you bring to each day. That is it. That is the entire Stoic project. 90 seconds, every morning, starting tomorrow. The Stoics called it the practice of a lifetime. You can start it in less than 2 minutes. If this shifted something for you, if even one sentence landed differently than you expected, hit the like button right now. Not for me, because it tells you that you are ready to go deeper. Subscribe if you want to keep building this kind of mental strength, Because every week on this channel, we go directly into the practices that the ancient Stoics actually used, not the watered-down Instagram version, the real thing. And drop a comment below. What is the one thing in your life right now that you have been avoiding thinking about? You do not have to answer fully. Just name it. That naming is the first step. The Stoics said that a problem named is a problem half solved. They were right about almost everything else. They were right about this too. The link to meditations and a guide to the good life on Audible is in the description below. Start there. The rest will follow. Disclaimer. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing constitutes professional advice of any kind.